Hello, my name is Drew LaCroix. I work for MCD Motors and I work a lot of different areas here, but today we're going to talk about financing. So, what's the steps to financing a vehicle? You come in, you got a vehicle that you like, you want to finance it. So, the first step that you're going to want to do is fill out a credit app. Now, filling out a credit app can be a little daunting for people that haven't done it before. There's a lot of information that they ask. It's not a lot of information, but it's a lot of information that they may not be familiar with, that they may not necessarily know the terminology with it. So we're going to go through that today just to help you out. Really, the first thing that you're going to do is put your name in. That's easy. First name, last name. Majority of our lenders don't need a middle name. The second thing you're going to do is put your address in. Now, your address is going to be important because that's going to be your point of reference where they're going to, what they call a proof of residence, that you're going to have to prove. Now, with that, you're going to have some form of bill within the last 30 days. It can be anything from a cell phone bill that's in your name with that address, utility, bank statement. You can use a bank statement, it's not necessarily a bill. But those are the main things that they're going to want to prove your residence, so to prove your address. So just be aware that when you're filling that out, you need to have that. Then there's a couple of different ways that we can get around that. There's a couple other different things you can do. Like let's say you live with your parents and you don't necessarily have anything in your name that comes to that address. There's always a couple other things that we can do. And that's something we can help you. That's very rare that happens, but we can definitely help you if that's the case. The next thing is going to be your social. Now, this is very important because you need to double check and make sure that you're putting in the right social. So once you put it in, just make sure that it's the right one. Because if you accidentally miss a number and, typo, fat finger it, put in the wrong number, that's just going to be another thing once we get you financed that you're going to have to provide a step. Okay, they're going to ask you to bring in a copy of your social security card just to prove. So if you put that in right, that's one less thing you got to bring once you get financed. Next thing is going to be your date of birth. Everybody knows that. Driver's license, number, state, if you know it, you can put it in there. On our online form, that's not a required field. So you can actually get by without putting that in there. We will, once you come in, get you to see your driver's license, make a copy of it. So, we take care of that once you come in. Next thing is good contact number. The contact number is important because the finance company, once you've signed all the paperwork, once you've got the vehicle, once you leave the lot, they're going to call and do a customer interview with you just to make sure that you are who you say you are. So they're trying to protect you to where it's not an identity theft, but they're going to want a good contact number. Next thing is an email. They're going to want an email address just to, send you they may send you payment booklets, just reminders, hey, you got a payment coming up, that sort of thing. So next thing is time of residence. Okay, so how long have you been at your address? They're just going to ask for, a year and how many years, how many months you've been there. Next thing they're going to ask you is, are you renting? Do you own? Do you have a mortgage? Are you living with friends or family? That sort of thing. Once you type that in, if it's rent, what's your rent? What's your mortgage? How much do you pay a month? Okay. Next thing they're going to ask you on a credit app is your employment information. Who do you work for? What's your occupation? We don't need the address of your employer. We need a good contact number, a number for the business that they can call to verify that you work there. What city you work in, that sort of thing. A good phone number. That's because like I said, they're going to have to call you. How long you've been at your job. Now, this isn't very important because let's say you've been on your job 6 months, you haven't been there a full year, which is okay. Sometimes you switch jobs, that's fine. But having a good hire date helps us calculate your income, because we're going to and we'll talk about the pay stub in a second, but we're going to get you to fill out or get you to bring in a pay stub, and then we have to calculate what you make a month. Because sometimes you may work more hours overtime, sometimes you may work less. So it's going to be important to have that good start date. So that's month, date, year. If you've been there 5 years, it's really, who knows? I mean, I can't remember. I've been working here for almost 7 years now. I can't remember the exact, I remember the month. I don't remember the exact date that I started working here. That's good. Now, the big thing is monthly income. This is where a lot of people mess up. What are they looking for when they say monthly income? Monthly income is going to be your gross monthly income. Now, some people may not know what gross means. Gross is what you get paid. Let's say you work hourly, $11 an hour or $10 an hour, 40 hours a week. So, you get, $400. So that's going to be your gross, that number right there before taxes are taken out. And it's going to be on for, if you have a pay stub, it's going to be on there. It's going to say gross pay. You take that, and then right beside that gross pay is going to be a year-to-date gross, and that's going to be everything that you made before taxes, anything taken out of it. That's the number that we're looking for, and that's the number any lender is going to be looking for. So that's the number you're going to use to calculate your income. Now, let's say you work bi-weekly, you get paid every 2 weeks. You'll take your year-to-date, or you can take, we calculate it by year-to-date, and the majority of people calculate it by year-to-date. Calculate the year-to-date by the number of weeks in the year. So, and then divide the number of weeks by 2, and then divide it by your year-to-date. So pretty simple. That's what we get. But we get a lot of people that just give us their net pay, which is before everything is taken out, and that kind of hurts you with getting a loan because you're showing less money. The next thing is, if you have a co-buyer, you're going to put in all that information. If you have a co-signer, then you have to go through all these other steps again. But once you get all that employment information, your residence, social, all that fun stuff, you're good to go. You send this directly to us. It's a secure website. We get working on the loan, working on getting you financed, getting you into a vehicle. Now, what will you need once we get you financed? When you come in, picked out a vehicle, you're ready to go. What am I going to need step-wise? Now, step-wise, you're going to need a pay stub, which is a POI, which is proof of income. Now, proof of income is you're going to have a pay stub within the last 30 days. Majority of lenders like your most recent pay stub, but they'll accept something within the last 30 days. Pretty simple. Now, what happens if you don't get a pay stub, if you're 1099? There's a couple ways around that. We can, hopefully that you're depositing those checks into your bank account every week or every bi-weekly, every month, however you get paid. If that's the case, then a lender will accept either 2 to 3 months bank statements showing all of your deposits. So that's an easy way to get around that. A little bit more difficult if you don't necessarily deposit all that, or let's say you're on SSI. SSI, you can use your letter that you get in from the government. Let's say you don't necessarily deposit that into your checking account or savings account every month or every time you get paid. The other way to get around it is to get a job letter. Now that's a little bit more difficult, and some companies don't accept that. But there are some, we do have some lenders that will accept that, and that'll be something that we'll have to work with you on a case-by-case and get that done for you. But it's pretty simple, straightforward. That's why it's good to have a good contact number for your employer. Now, once we get all that, there may be a couple other things that the lender may require. They may require you to have references. We did a deal yesterday and they needed 6 references. Now, with references, you have to have 6 people. They can't live with you. They can't live at the same address. So 6 different people. They can be friends, family, living at different addresses, full address. That means street number, street name, city, state, and zip for 6 people, and a phone number for each person, because they will call some of them. Usually the max is 6. Now, another thing that you might need once you come in is if you've ever had any fraud alerts on your bureau or anything like that, they may require you to bring in a copy of your social security card. If you made a mistake and accidentally fat fingered a number and we got the wrong social security number, you will have to bring that in as well. So, I'm trying to think any other things that you might need. They might require you to bring 2 proof of residence. That's very, very rare. But making sure you have a good proof of residence is a good thing to bring, and that's going to be within the last 30 days as well. Like I said, that's going to be a phone bill, utility bill, bank statement, those type of things, and it has to be within the last 30 days. Now, once we get all that stuff in, you sign all your paperwork and you leave the dealership. The next step is for us to package all this stuff up, FedEx it to the lender. They have to go through that, check all their boxes, make sure they call and verify your employment, call you, make sure you're the one buying the vehicle, it's not being bought, your social's not being used for something else. They have some security questions they'll ask you to protect you, to make sure that you're the one purchasing the vehicle in your name. Then they come back and they say, okay, got everything, it's good to go. And what we do specifically for ours is we make sure that our packets, what we send to the lenders, are all in order so that the person that's checking it off can just go right down the page with it. Another thing that I didn't mention, I just remembered, is insurance. You will have to have insurance, full coverage insurance on your vehicle. That's one of the things that they'll have to check as well. Now, to make it go as quickly as possible, once you come into the dealership, when you're financing a vehicle, go ahead and have all that stuff. Make sure it's within the last 30 days. Make sure your name's spelled correctly on the proof of residence. Make sure the address is correct. I can't tell you how many people that brought in a credit card statement that was in their old address. They just moved. Just make sure that it's the right address, because that'll make your experience a lot smoother. You don't have to stay here. We can be in and out, and you can be driving in your new car in no time. So if you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. This is what we do every day. We'll be happy to help you in any way that we can. Have a wonderful day.